Gentlemen, welcome to another meeting of the Stayton City Council, Monday, the 16th of May in the year 2022. It is almost 7 p.m. Lots of daylight, a beautiful evening out there, and let's go to work. Let's start with a flag salute, please. Ooh, there we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And thank you, folks, for that. Announcements. Are there any additions to the agenda? Apparently not, unless our
No,
worthy
Mayor.
Assistant City Manager, who has carried us through the past several months with vigor. Any declarations of ex-party contact, conflict of interest, bias, etc.? Well,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
just to make a declaration that won't affect my ability to be rational and make an informed decision, but when it comes to the public hearing, both of my kids went to St. Mary at school, just to make it out there.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
this is
Well,
Councilor Patty.
Yes, go ahead, Councilor.
I don't know if it matters, but in interest of transparency, I have driven by this place 10 times today. And in addition to that, I've heard from many parents about this plot a few times, but that will not impact my ability to make a rational decision either.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to say anything about taking my dog for a walk by it all the time, and I don't get to vote. Okay, thank you, folks. Under appointments, Nicole Morgan for the Library Board made an application, which is in your packet, wants to serve, and with your considered blessing, I would go ahead and appoint her to that. And if someone would like to offer a motion to that effect, we could deal with that. Anyone?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Councilor Quigley so moved.
Okay, a motion?
Counselor Hook seconds.
A motion, thank you, and a second to appoint Nicole Morgan to the Library Board. Everyone's reviewed that application. Would you go ahead and, if there's no discussion, would you go ahead and poll the council on that, please?
Sure. Counselor Patty?
Yes.
Counselor Quigley?
Yes.
Counselor Hook? Yes. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, thank you. Is there any public comment this evening that,
I did not receive any requests for public comment this
Okay.
evening, Mayor.
now I should ask, I think it's the right thing to do, ask any present, have any public comment? Right? Okay, hearing none. How about a consent agenda for April 18th? City Council regular session minutes, the 29th, Council special session minutes, and the city manager employment agreement. Everyone had a
Mayor
chance to
Porter.
review that? Go ahead, Counselor.
I'd like to move that we approve the consent agenda, or the consent agendas for April 18th, April 29th, and the city manager employment agreement as
Okay.
presented.
Mr. Mayor, this is
Yes.
Councilor Patty. I second that motion.
All right, motion and a second then to approve all three of those items, the April 18th City Council regular session minutes, the 29th of 2022's a special session minutes, and a city manager employment agreement. Discussion, please.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, I would just like to thank Councilor Quigley for securing the city manager to accepting this agreement through great negotiation. So thank you for your time in doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pleased that you were able and willing to do that, so, me also. Any other well, we don't need discussion on consent agendas. Would you poll the council on that, please?
Sure. Counselor Hook?
Yes.
Counselor Quigley?
Yes.
Counselor Patty?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, thank you. We are absent 2 members this evening. Obviously, Counselor Ort is not with us, and Counselor McDonald. So we have a quorum, so we're going to go ahead with it. Next, we have a public hearing, comprehensive plan and zone map amendments for 1715 East Jefferson Street. And commencement of public hearing, I need to read this, so bear with me. Good evening. My name is Henry Porter. I'm the mayor of Stayton, and I will be presiding over this hearing. This is the time and place set for the City Council's public hearing in the matter of land use file 3-03/22, an application for a comprehensive plan map amendment and a zone map amendment to change the property at 1715 East Jefferson Street from a comprehensive plan map designation of residential to public and a zone change from medium-density residential to public semi-public. The hearing is now open. Oregon land use law requires a statement be made to those in attendance that covers certain matters relative to this case. That statement, with all the information required to be presented under the Oregon Revised Statutes 197.763 bracket 5, is printed and available at the table at the entrance to the hearing room. If you've not yet received one of these forms, you should go get one and review it prior to presenting your testimony. If anyone has any questions regarding anything on the statement or objects to it being read out loud, please raise those questions when it comes your turn to speak during the hearing. Also at the back counter is the agenda for this evening's meeting, which lays out the order in which people will be called to speak during the public hearing. The Planning Commission's rules of procedure for land use public hearings and a brochure written to facilitate your participation in the public hearing. You're encouraged to obtain and read a copy of these documents as well. At this time, I would ask the audience if there's any objections to the notice that was sent in this case. I hear none. To the jurisdiction of this body to hear and consider this case. I hear none. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest, ex parte contact, or bias by any members of this body? And those have been stated already. And so we're ready for the staff introduction. Mr. Fleischman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As was stated in the opening statement, this will be a public hearing on applications for a comprehensive plan map amendment. Comprehensive plan currently designates this property as residential, and the applicant is asking to change the map to designate it as public. And along with that, to change the official zoning map, it is currently zoned medium-density residential, and the applicant would like it to be zoned public, semi-public. I'll leave it at that for the applicant to present the application, and then I'll be back to go through the staff report and recommendation.
Good evening. My name is Bill Lule, employed by North Indiana Paving. The address is P.O. Box 516, Stayton, Oregon, 97383. As you know, this parcel lays due south of the existing school buildings. The hope is that they can expand and put another classroom in this area. It's presently zoned residential, as you heard. To put a school facility on there, it would have to be zoned, changed to public as requested. So the church, the owner of the property, is wanting to get this moving so we can get the zones correct with classroom building if we can get one constructed here in the near future. The The criteria we've gone over in more detail, but just a general overview of it. It's the only parcel area that's left for classroom expansion. There is a need for additional classroom space. They do have a waiting list at the present time. So this would facilitate expanding to be able to have more classes. In the materials submitted, a traffic impact study has already been completed and submitted and accepted, so that is a non-issue. There's no off-site improvements needed, which will be in the site review. As you know, that will be another hearing. So, but just a general thing, there should be no negative impact on anyone, and there is a need, and so we request your approval of the zone change to give us the option to expand the classroom buildings at a future date. I will keep it short and simple unless you have some questions.
Questions at this point, or shall we?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dan, a staff report, please.
So what you have before you are, as I said, these applications for comprehensive plan map amendment and zoning map amendment. It's a parcel of land that's just over 1 acre in size. From what I can tell and looking in the city's records, I'm making up that it is zoned residential, even though owned by the church / St. Mary's School, because it probably had a house on it back when we adopted the zoning code. I found a 1964 sewer connection permit when we had a brand-new sewer system. The parcel has a street address, which most vacant parcels in the city don't. And there's a driveway curb cut on East Jefferson Street, so that tells me at some point in time there probably was a house there. It appears the church bought it sometime in the 90s, and it has been sitting there zoned residential since we enacted the zoning code in the mid-70s. Planning Commission held a public hearing on this application last month, unanimously has recommended that it be approved. The application included the necessary analysis under the state's transportation planning rule that concluded that changing the zoning and the potential development that could result from that will not have a detrimental impact on the city's transportation system. The city's transportation planning consultant reviewed that analysis, concurred with the methodology and conclusions. As Mr. Lule said, the school will need to go through another public hearing process for site plan review when the time comes that they're ready to proceed with constructing their new building. You've got a draft ordinance that lays out the criteria for approval and the findings as recommended by the Planning Commission and by staff. And with that, the staff recommendation is to approve ordinance 1054 as presented. And I can answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. How about we got that? Okay, questions from the council? Dan, I was gonna, I guess, living in that area, it's an older part of the community, but it's in here, the size of storm and sewer and water mains, sewer mains, all that's there, and apparently it's adequate. So I don't have to ask that. Other questions from the council? Is there any proponent testimony then? Is there any opponent testimony? Anything from government agencies? General testimony? Questions from the public? More questions from the council? An applicant summary, if anything? Bill, anything else to add? Okay. A staff summary, Dan?
I don't have anything else to add. You've got draft ordinance in your packet and suggested motions for different options at the end of the staff memorandum.
Okay. All right, then let's close the hearing and go to council deliberation, please.
Oh, I just wanted to say something. That's
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to let the public know that the reason why it's so easy to go through this for me is that it just seems extremely logical that, yes, we need more schools. Yes, we need more preschool, more childcare. It's already connected to the church. It's gone through everything that it's supposed to go through. It's one of those decisions that just makes sense. And by not making this decision, I feel like it would actually be a detriment to our community. So that's why I will be a yes vote.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other council deliberation?
Mr. Mayor, I think we're prepared to make a motion if nobody else has any comments to
Okay,
make.
All right. Let's go to council decision then. Go ahead, Counselor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to move to approve the application of Immaculate Conception Catholic Church. That's going to be land use file number 3-03/22 and ordinance 1054 as presented.
Okay. I've got a motion to approve the application and the first consideration of ordinance 1054.
Counselor Hook seconds.
Okay, and a second, thank you. A move to approve the application of Immaculate Conception Catholic Church, land use file 3-03/22, and ordinance 1054 as presented. Is there any more discussion, please? If not, let's go to a vote. Would you poll the council,
Sure.
Alyssa? Thank you.
Counselor Quigley,
Yes.
Counselor Hook,
Yes.
Counselor Patty,
Yes.
motion passes 3-0.
Okay. Let's see, there's something on the council's action may be appealed within 21 days of the mailing of the notice of decision to the Land Use Board of Appeals under the ORS 197.805-855. Okay, got that. Thank you. Let's see what's next. General business, award of a contract for 2022 Jefferson Street Improvement Project. Mr. Ludwig.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The issue before you tonight is whether or not to accept the award of a contract for the street improvements on Jefferson Street between 3rd and 6th Avenue to CG Contractors LLC in the amount of $295,820. You can see what the size of the project. There's about 3,500 square yards of cold plain, 525 tons of asphalt, 10 ADA ramps, and some associated storm drainage work to be performed. This project was advertised on May 10th. We had 5 bidders for this project. You can see it was a pretty close, the top 3 were pretty darn close. But CG Contractors was the low bid. We vetted them, and we vetted their subcontractor that's actually doing the paving. We've got all good recommendations, so we are recommending that the council award the contract to CG Contractors LLC at this time. and I'll answer any questions that you have.
Okay. Okay. All right. Public comment? Is there any public comment on this? Any? How about a council discussion? Questions for Mr. Ludwig?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Hey, Lance, just a point of clarification for me. It's talking about removing the pavement, but that's also reconstructing it, correct, once they do that?
No,
No?
you mill it sometimes. If you got, there's various reasons why you want to mill it.
Okay.
Sometimes you have small cracks in it, you want to mill out, get below that. Sometimes you want to do it for grading purposes for when you put the asphalt down. In this case, we don't have very much curb exposure, so we
Okay.
want to mill down,
Yep.
especially next to the curb.
Okay,
So we have a 6-inch curb, and then you overlay on top of that.
okay. I follow you. I just wanted to make sure we weren't tearing up a portion of the street not to replace it.
No, most of the time when we do this, really in Stayton, it's for the cracks, and we want to pave a nice crown in the road so it forces storm water to the curb and into the catch basins.
Thank you.
Wouldn't want to find a way to move over to Fourth Street and do some work there, would you?
We can talk about that in another meeting.
Or Sandy M, or Fifth? Okay.
Sounds like
Stay on,
political wagering here that we're going on here, and I don't want to get into that. No, thank you.
stay on task here, stay on.
Yeah, very good.
Okay. Ay. Okay, folks, are there any other questions for Lance? Or shall we go to a decision on this? The wording of a contract.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if there's no other council decision or discussion, I'm ready to make a motion.
go ahead.
I'd like to offer a motion that we award the contract to C&G Contractors LLC in the full contract amount.
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilor Patty. I second that motion.
Okay. So the motion and a second to award the 2022 Jefferson Street Improvement Project to CG Contractors LLC in the amount of $295,820. Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor, do I need to repeat that? Maybe I didn't phrase it correctly.
No,
No?
I phrased it correctly.
Okay, thank you.
I think, I hope. Any discussion? If not, can we move toward a decision?
All right, Counselor Patty?
Yes.
Counselor Quigley?
Yes.
Counselor Hook?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Is this, Lance, is this our major street project for the summer?
This will be, we have Wyatt Street, we're working on Wyatt Avenue improvements for next year. It'll be a little larger, but for this year, it's getting so late in the fiscal year, this will be it.
Okay. Are we going to do another big project in the fall then, or in
It depends, you know,
August or
I'm
September?
going to tell you right now, the prices for all construction right now are through the roof. And we might just put most of our construction project on hold until January and bid it all in January, everything. That includes the Ida Street Sewer Project, because prices are coming in like 70% above normal. And we
yeah.
just can't afford that.
Yeah.
So that's something we're entertaining, but for sure, asphalt is way up. So we're probably not even going to look at that until next January, February, and that'll be the Wyatt Avenue improvements.
Should, just a little bit facetiously, but possible to have some kind of standby rescue for cars lost in potholes and
I don't have anything for you.
okay. You realize you're being baited, and I'm sorry.
I'm going to leave that
Okay.
one alone.
Anyway, okay, communications from
Thank you.
city staff. Thank you, folks, for that. Thank you, Lance. Communication from city staff, anything?
I just briefly thought that I would recognize that last week was National Public Works Week.
Oh,
So shout
okay.
out to all of our Public Works crew, and currently we're in the midst of National Peace Officers Week as well. So another shout out to our police department and the
Okay.
work that they do.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I've got.
When is overworked city council appreciation week?
I'll have to look into that.
I have to look into that, yeah. Maybe never. Way down the road, okay. Communications from mayor and council.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, please.
I just wanted to let you guys know that the group that's doing the work on opposing the chicken farms is going to be taking some of the elected officials that are like county commissioners and representatives out to the site near Stayton on Saturday. If there's a counselor that wants to join me at 9:30 at Roth's, to kind of talk about how that would, just individually, like how that would affect our community and why that might not be a benefit. It isn't within the city limits, so it's not technically a city topic, but it does affect some of the air quality and other thsen in our city if that does come to fruition. So we'll have the ear of Senator Michael Dembrow, it looks like Representative Confom, Rep Zach Hudson, Senator Deb Patterson, Representative Susan McLean, Representative Tana Sanchez, and quite a few others on there. So they'll be touring that area. So if anyone has any input on what they would like represented there as why it might not be beneficial, I'm happy to deliver that message as well. Just me, not as a city of Stayton, but just me as an individual that happens to also be elected to the council. I'll make sure that I will not say that it's on behalf of the city.
So that date again, please?
It's this Saturday at
This
9:30
Saturday.
at Roth's. But if you are going to come, I do need to know because there cannot be more than 2 of us there as counselors.
Oh,
Otherwise, it is
okay.
considered probably, because we're still talking about the city, technically, on how it might affect the city and anything that's city discussion. I think we're not allowed to all gather together. I'm not sure how that works, but I just think that it might be best if we don't have a quorum.
Have you invited anyone from the governor's office?
I'm not holding this. I was just asked
Oh,
to come
announce
in
this? Okay.
as an individual that also happens to be a community leader to come and speak on how it might affect us and kind of welcome them to Stayton and say, hey, we're glad you're here.
Okay, good, thank you. All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
to Councilor Hook's point, it's probably prudent for me to let you know that I received an email asking for the council to consider taking a position on that topic. It's a family farmer friend of ours. Knowing that that's not in the city limits and knowing we don't really necessarily take policy stances of that type yet. I haven't responded to them. I just thought I'd throw it out there for everyone just to make sure they're aware of it, that I did receive it and the council's now aware of it.
Okay. Well, to say that that we're not, wouldn't be affected by it is, that's silly. I mean, we will be in some fashion. And so, yeah, absolutely affected. Yeah, so, okay, so this Saturday at 9. Okay, other thoughts? No? I had a park situation, but Lance took care of it already, so there's no point in fussing about that. We're going to get rid of standing water in Pioneer Park. But he took care of it, so thank you again. I had this wonderful situation where we gravelled over the whole park, so there was no standing water. Saved on lawn mowing. Just a wonderful idea, but he come up with something better. Are we done?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I just, I want to talk about last week real quick. For those that are watching at home and those that didn't attend the budget committee process, I really want folks to understand how in-depth that process is. A lot of people can sit there and point fingers and scratch their head and say, that dang city, they have no idea what's going on in whatever category you want to pick. To have the amount of work and effort and expertise poured into the budget and the stuff that staff did to really truly try to highlight what the budget is for people really opened my eyes again. I mean, I think I always aware of it, right? But I'm never really aware of it until we have those budget hearings. So what it comes down to is a cost benefit analysis of the budget, right? We're looking at it to make sure that the cost that we're spending is going to benefit the community. And it's not an easy task, as you all could attest to. But I really want to give staff my gratitude for what you guys did to put that together. And I want to thank the members of the budget committee, because without them, we can't do scrutiny as much as we did, and we can't pass the budget. So thank you for that. And then if anyone has any questions about really how the city operates, feel free to reach out to any of those budget committee members, because I'm sure they can tell you how it works now. So thank you all, staff level. That was a job well done.
Thank you, Counselor. When I get comments about the budget, I just say, does anyone here ever heard of a thing called a telephone? You could call this number, and I give them a number, and ask about this or that or whatever. You don't like something about the Public Works, you don't like something about the police, you don't like something about sewers overflowing, here's a number to call. And I don't know that anyone ever does that, but we just need to keep making that information available.
Also, there's vacancies on the budget committee, so y'all are welcome to spend 3 of your
Yeah.
evenings.
Come spend some time with us, all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, folks? Are we done? Let's go home. Thank you, folks. Another time. I think I know, that's what I call a good meeting.